PDF, you can download and study whenever you wish. But these are the only way. Okay, there's no other way. Facebook, Instagram, those who get likes and that love sign, that really doesn't make a photograph good or bad either. Okay, so keep that in mind. So train your mind to see these things. This is, this composition, and I can tell you that in a structured photography course, the composition itself takes about 4 or 5 classes. So I am not going to discuss all of these, I am just going to show you one. See, this is a rule of third. This is a very simple image, very simple. I generally use it just to elaborate. This is, as an image, this is not something great. It's an old image I took. So, can you see where the sun is? See, these are the 2 lines. So, you have 1, 2, 3 columns or 3 vertical parts, and 1, 2, 3 horizontal parts. And these are the intersection points, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, the rule of third is this, that try to put the subject to one of these intersection points, if you cannot put it at the intersection point, at least near to it. Okay? And try to put the horizon either in the lower 1/3 or in the upper 1/3. Is it clear? Okay. So here, as you can see, this is the horizon which I have kept it more or less in the lower 1/3, and the subject of the image, that is the setting sun. This was shot in the Thar desert in Rajasthan. That is kept in this particular intersection point. Okay? So this is how you do it. Now this is another example. Backlighting. You remember I told something about backlighting? So this is another example of backlighting. And again in golden hour. This was shot at a very late in the evening. So this does not conform to the 1/3 rule. I also told you to learn the rules but break them. This is when I conform it to that rule. So it becomes more tight. It becomes a little claustrophobic. So I didn't go for it. I went for this. Okay, this is all these images that I'm showing you. These are sometime or other displayed, exhibited in my country as well as different foreign countries, mostly all the other continents of the world. I'm very fortunate to say this, that my images were exhibited all over the world. Not a single continent is left out. So this is a centrist composition. Those of you who are in bird watching, you know this bird. This is not a very common bird. Okay, it's a Himalayan blue-tail. I actually chased after this bird. Okay, so it's centrist. Can you see that it's more or less at the center, right? But this particular branch, it's also breaking the monotony. So when I took this photograph, I was not going through the book and trying to find out which composition will work. It's because of my practice and training for so many years, I could solve the puzzle and fit the composition that I felt the best for it. Okay? This is an example of leading lines. This is in Mysore. It's in Mysore Palace. Have anyone of you been there? Great. It's a beautiful place to photograph. So these are the leading lines. What is a leading line? Look, these columns, they lead your eye to this particular place, right? This particular, I don't know what it's called, a gate or whatever. So it leads your eyes to the end of it. But there is no end. There's something, as if there can be something else also. So mystery, a story. I told you at the very beginning, without a story, a photograph is it's either a documentation or it's rubbish. So that's the story in it. It keeps you thinking, what can be there? Okay? Or you can think that there was a time when the kings and queens used to roam in this hall, and you can imagine anything. And that's, as an artist, that's where I succeed. Now, this is for, I included this, keeping most of you in mind. I understand that Carrying a camera is not always possible, or many of you cannot get a camera immediately, but still you can follow these rules, or rather these pointers, these steps to get good photography. I'll show you one or two examples. First thing is clean your lens. Because we carry the camera in our pocket, so the camera lens is at the back, so there is no cover, nothing. It attracts much like anything. Okay, so just clean it whenever you can. Just use a soft cloth to clean it. Next, use grid lines. In every smartphone, if you go in the setting of the camera, you will find that there is an option to display the grid lines. The grid lines are that one that I have already shown you, the 3x3 grid lines in the desert, hot desert, right? So you can display that, that's really helpful. Tap to focus and adjust the exposure. Do not let the camera think for you. You made the camera, or you made the smartphone. Smartphone cannot be smarter than you people. It's not possible, right? A gadget is not smarter than human being. It cannot be. So don't let it think for you. You do it, okay? Use natural light. Smartphone flashes are absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. They are absolute good for nothing. Take my word for it. You can't do any serious photography with them. So try to use natural light. Experiment with built-in features. There are some built-in features like panorama mode, portrait mode. You can try it because the portrait mode actually creates a depth map. So it blurs the background. You can change that later in the native editing app of the smartphone to your own taste, to suit your own taste. This is the next point is very important. I tell it to everyone. Do not use the shutter button or the shutter sign on the screen. Use the volume button instead. Why? Because when you're holding a camera like this, your smartphone like this, and you try to press it, the chances are, first, your composition will change. Because you're changing the way you're holding the camera or the phone, right? And you'll induce shake. But if you're holding the camera, when you take a photograph with the camera, how do you hold it? You always hold it like this, right? Or like this. But every time you'll see one of your fingers is always near a volume button. So use it as a shutter rather than tapping on the screen. And use RAW format. What is a RAW format? RAW format is whatever camera sees, it doesn't change it to a JPEG or any other compressed file format, but it stores that data in a file that's called a raw image file. Every company has its own raw image file, or there is an open source raw image format called DNG, Digital Negative. It was developed by Adobe Incorporated of US, but it's open source, anybody can use it. So in many smartphones, this particular raw format is available. Why will you use a raw format? The reason is when you take a photograph in whatever manner, doesn't matter, you get a JPEG, right? You see the file name at the end, either you have JPG or JPEG. It's a joint photographic expert group. So to get that, you won't believe it, but 90% of data is thrown out by the camera or any sort of conversion software. Every camera has one conversion software. 90% of data. That's why the file size is so small. So whenever you try to do any kind of editing on the JPEG, the editing software cannot find the data. So it extrapolates. And when it extrapolates, it ruins the photograph. But when you have the raw format, you can do editing over there. Some sort of editing is still possible. And DNG is pretty good. It's not bad. So use raw format. This is a very recent photograph. It was taken not a very pricey phone. It was taken in Redmi Note 9 Pro. This was exhibited in India. This was done 2 or 3 months back in India, at most. Already it was exhibited 3 or 4 times in India, and in Europe I believe 5 times already. Okay, so this was taken with a smartphone. The only thing that I did, I shoot it in RAW. I shot in RAW. I transferred the DNG file from my phone and did a little bit of editing. Editing means not a lot. I don't change a lot because that's not photography anymore. That becomes digital art, which I don't do. So I simply sharpened it a bit, fixed the contrast, brought the style out, all these things. Okay? Editing is absolutely a different part, so I'm not going to touch on that today. So, but my point is, if I can shoot it with a Redmi Note 9 Pro, many of you have a pretty expensive smartphones, you can shoot way better than this. So now I'm going to the detail, more detail in the genres. The first, anyways, till now do you have any questions? Any questions? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, please.
In the previous slide, how do you explain conclusion?
Oh, great. It's a very good question. Thank you for asking. So this is the only person who is listening to my words seriously. And you are just sitting there. Anyway, thank you. Beautiful question. See, the first thing, I told you the rule of thumb, right? So I applied the rule of thumb here, nothing fancy. So, can you see the horizon line? Just, can you imagine those 3 by 3 feet? Just, see, the horizon line is more or less in the upper one thumb. Okay? And the rest part is covered by this field, which is very important because it's a football training going on. And can you see this? This is the subject, right? And this is in the one of those 4 points that I showed you. That's very near to that 4 point. And one more part is there. Can you see these? I don't know what this is called, but they were training for a goalkeeping or something. So I don't know. But these were there. So these are like leading lines. So when your eye first sees a photograph or eye sees a photograph, it tries to find a hooking point where you hook, where your eyes get hooked. Okay? So your eyes gets hooked here, but your eyes don't stay there. It will go back and roam around, but again it will come here. And these yellow lines, which are more or less matched with the grass, it will bring your eyes back to this person. Do you understand what I said? Could I answer your question?
Yes,
Okay, great. Any other question? Yeah, please.
Which elements made it stand out different from others so that it
Could you please speak a bit louder?
So which elements of this page made it like stand out from others and it got presented in those articles or whatever it is?
Oh, means you're saying that what are the strong points of this photograph? Why this was selected, right? Can you see that he's mid-air? He is mid-air. He's jumping. Okay? And look at the body posture. Can you see the 2 feet? Both feet are visible, right? Mid-air, rest of them are looking at him. So it tells you a story in a very clear and precise manner. Okay? And there are many elements in this photograph which you may otherwise think as distracting. For example, these buildings, right? These trees, right? This particular fellow with an orange shirt, or these cars. But tell me, have you ever noticed this when I first displayed this photograph? What did you notice when I first displayed this photograph? Can you please tell me? What is the first thing that you noticed?
I noticed the sky and that yellow building.
Which one?
This was sky and yellow building.
The sky and yellow building, but not this fellow.
Then after that.
So ultimately, your eyes are brought back to him, right?
Yeah, right.
That's it. My job is done. That's the reason it was a standout image. Yeah.
Sir, doesn't the leading lines produce a sort of asymmetry with the horizon?
Every time it has to have, there is no need to be symmetric. I told you that learn the rules, break the rules.
Okay.
Okay. So break the rules for the benefit of the art, for telling the story. Right?
Yes.
So if don't break the rules for sake of breaking it. Break the rules to get some benefit out of it. So the same thing. It's sort of a leading line. It's not a leading line. It's not a perfect leading line. It's sort of a leading line which leads you to the surface. I'm sorry, the subject.
one question I have.
Yeah, sure.
Is there any negative space out there in the middle of it?
Yeah, I didn't touch the negative space, because again, it's a large thing to discuss. Yes, please tell me.
Like, doesn't it look like had there been something in between to make up for that?
Between what?
I mean, something in between to make up for the space out there. The
Space
negative
where? There is actually very little negative space in this forward. Very little. Even the top portion, the negative space that you are thinking, there is a ground over there.
On the ground, sir.
This portion,
Yes, sir.
this is not a negative space. Because why this is not a negative? If anyone told you this is a negative space, that's not right. See, the space is actually surrounded by subjects, by elements. A negative space is, okay, I'll show you what is a negative space. See, this is a negative space. This is a negative space. Okay? This is a negative space. There is no other element which is surrounding this space. Do you get my point? Right. So that's not a negative space. You can say that's an empty space, but not negative space. Still, that's technically not empty. There's grass, and you can make it out that there is grass. Any other question? Okay. So let's go ahead. So capturing landscapes. Whatever I told you, the same rules applies here. Use leading lines to guide the viewer's eyes. I'll show you some examples. Include foreground objects. Remember the image of the Taj Mahal, right? And the boatman. So foreground object was the boatman. Taj Mahal was the anchor point where your eyes get stuck. Wait for the best lighting conditions. This is very important. For landscape, it's like sacrosanct. If there is no good light, don't go for it. That landscape is going to be ruined. Landscape needs light, and the best is the blue hour or the golden hour. You don't do landscape after 8 o'clock in the morning or before 4 in the evening. On an average, if you go in the mountains, it will be a bit different. And look for an anchor point. See, in landscapes, we always don't have things which are handmade, or you do not have human being over there. So where do your eyes latch? How your eyes get caught in that image? Or does it simply roam around an image and leaves the image? That's not a good landscape. A good landscape not only gives you a sense of the place, it is very important that it keeps your eyes hooked in that image, and while giving you a sense of the place, it tells you a story of the place. I'll show you some examples. Story is very important. See, can any one of you tell me what is the leading line here?
The road.
The road, yes. It's a beautiful leading line. This was done actually, it's very near to your place. It's in Spiti Valley. Okay? It's in Spiti Valley. I actually stopped the car. But I was traveling by the car, my rented car. The driver was a gem of a person. So I told him at the very beginning of the scene, whenever I'll ask you to stop, you have to stop. He said, no problem, sir. You tell me when to stop. So when I was traveling, I saw this image about 1.5 to 2 kilometers before I reached this place. I told him to stop the car. He stopped the car. I walked a few paces, maybe front or back. I don't remember exactly, and I composed it. So this is one example of a leading line. And again, you can see that. Can you see the clouds? See, they are forming some lines, right? And there's sort of a vanishing point over here. This is interesting. Sort of a vanishing point. You don't know where the road is going. But we all have to walk down the road, isn't it? We don't know where we are going, but we have to walk.
So,
Yeah?
so in that image, where would you say would be the anchor point? Like
You tell
the
me.
central mountain?
You tell me where your eyes are getting hooked.
In the central mountain.
That's it. That's it.
So
Okay.
is it because
But you are right. Actually, that's the anchor point. Because the road is leading you to that. The rest of the elements are adding to it. It's supporting it. This is a Diana Yamuna River. This is in North Bengal. Okay? So here the river itself, it's a leading line to this particular mountain. This part is in Bhutan. Okay? And this is more of a diagonal composition. More of a diagonal composition. And this portion is, I place it according to my own interest, my own creative view. Okay? So, this is another landscape where I use this, but look at the time, look at the light. See how beautiful the light is? Look at the water. You can actually see the ripples on the water. You can actually see the ripples. I didn't make it, the light did. I simply found it. Yeah, all through. This one or the previous one?
Previous one.
Yeah, sure.
At what time of the day do you shoot?
If I remember correctly, it was late afternoon. Late afternoon, maybe. It was long back. I mean, it was taken in 2017, I think. 2017. Yes, 2017. So long back. 7 years back. Yes.
Sir, how did you make the upper portion a bit blurry and the lower portion?
Which one? This one. This portion. I didn't make it. It was there. It was there. The storm cloud is there. Have you ever been to North Bengal? You are from which state? If I may ask. Oh, so you know, the North Bengal, it's always like this. You never know when the weather is going to change.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it. I love that part.
Yes.
So it was there. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. Okay, so the storm cloud was there, the sun was breaking through it. It was very late in the afternoon. But I was telling you, like, it makes the sunlight very diffused. So that's what these parts did. That's why this portion is very diffused. Okay?
So,
Yeah.
in the first picture, you decided
This one?
First picture, it was
The first slide?
the elephant picture.
Okay, then
You made it black and white. Was it to enhance the texture of it or?
absolutely right. Because I told you that seeing the texture, right? What I wanted to show you, as an artist, I wanted to show you the affection and the texture and the light, the tonality, how the light is shaping the body of the elephant, how it's sculpting. I would love to use that word. The light is sculpting the bodies of the elephants. In color, that part would have been lost. Your eyes would have been drawn towards the colors. So I simply, because there was some green and the red and the yellow was behind that because of the bush and all. So I simply, all these colors were washed out because I changed it to black and white. Okay? Any other question? Yeah.
Can there be images with 2 or more anchor points?
Yeah, can be. So what we say in a photography term is this, that your eyes will be darting between these 2 points, but that's not very good. It's very difficult to make a very catchy image out of that. Catchy in the sense that it looks very pleasing to the eyes. Because if your eyes don't stay, you don't feel calm. Okay? You don't feel it. Art is all about feeling. You can't measure these things, and that's the beauty of art, right? This is another one again in the Spiti Valley. Can you see the eye formation? The formation of an eye as if there is a giant eye formed in the valley. So that's what made it interesting. How I found this image? In 1 or 2 lines. There was a goods vehicle broke down. Or something had happened. It was some altercation with a goods vehicle or another vehicle. So there was a jam. Okay, since there was a jam, I simply deboarded my car and started to walk. And I found this. And in mountains, there's a very interesting point. In mountain, a particular landscape, a particular viewpoint can be found from a particular point only. If you walk about few paces front or few paces back, you will be lost. And that's the challenge of landscape photography. And that's the beauty of it. That's what I enjoy a lot, doing landscapes. Okay? So this is Spiti Valley. And this is your anchor point. If anyone is interested, this is your anchor point. This keeps your eyes glued to this photograph. This was done in Okay. So, in Romha, have you ever heard of this place?
Again, I have some previous.
Previous one, Ashok?
So I see there's a person standing, I think.
Where?
Like in the face of the eye, or like the.
This one?
Yeah. What is that?
No, this is not. This is a gate.
Like my question was, for example, if there was nothing over there, would it have had the same appeal as now? Like
To me, no. To me, it would have been too flat.
Yeah.
Too flat. Because this gate not only gives you a point where your eyes get latched, it also gives you a sense of the height, the sense of the depth. Remember, our image is always a 2D. Your challenge is to make it 3D. So I personally always look for things which I can make it 3D, 3-dimensional. So it gives you a sense of depth. So this was in the Bay of Bengal. Again, I was shooting towards the sun, difficult scenario, keeping all the exposures in line. So you can see that this is the brightest point, this is the darkest point. And this is more of a centrist one, but I have kept the negative space. Someone was telling me about the negative space. Yes. So this is the negative space. Now why this negative space is important? Can you tell me? Any idea?
If the subject to the right from there,
Big one?
our eyes fall like this.
No. In which direction do you think the boat is going? To the right of the frame or to the left of the frame? To the left? To the right. So actually I don't know in which direction it was going. But the man, as he was standing, it appears that the boat is going to the right. So I must have a negative space to the right. Otherwise, there is no place for the boat to go. Again, it's a story. Remember, a story doesn't end in one line, one word or one paragraph. A story is a continuous process. So the third part of a travel photography, the second part, it's a documenting cultures. Culture is a very important part, very, very important part. Without that part, you cannot have about the place. So these are the very simple 3 cardinal points. You respect and understand the local customs. I went to the Gurudwara nearby. The first thing I did, I visited the office and I asked for the head of the Gurudwara for his permission. I can't speak a word of Punjabi, I'm sorry. So I requested one person over there who speaks English. He went on my behalf, and then I got the permission. I shot inside the Gurudwara. I'll show you 1 or 2 photographs of that. Ask permissions and capture candid moments. Don't stage. Staging is different. Yeah.
In the previous image, can I ask that if negative space can be used to induce a sense of scale of the place?
Negative space at the scale of the space, not really. Scale is when you compare. Okay, I'll show you 1 or 2 examples. Scale comes when there is a comparison. If there is no comparison, there is no scale. So in negative space, you don't compare anything. Negative space is just a space, a breathing space, you can say. This is one. Okay, this is one, a diagonal composition. I could have taken out those wires, but I didn't, because that adds authenticity to that image. This was during Buddha Purnima. This is a landscape, but why this is different? Because of the prayer flags. Can you see the prayer flags? This is over the Kaza Valley. I have taken most of the Himachal images because Himachal is very near to you. So you can all plan and go together and take beautiful landscapes over there. It's absolutely gem of a place. So these prayer flags, these adds a dimension. And yes, you were telling me about the scale, right? Most of them you are telling me about the scale. So can you understand now the scale? You understand the depth of it, the scale of it. When you compare, your brain compares. Okay. This is Gajon. How many of you know about this particular? It's very, very Bengal. It's very Bengal. Gajon used to be in a Buddhist, very long back. It used to be a Buddhist festival. Then it was appropriated by Brahminical Hinduism, and it became the worshipping of God Shiva, whatever it is. So this is again, I'm documenting culture. I'm sorry, this image may be disturbing. I should have